In the golden haze of a candle-lit Parisian chamber, the ink flows onto rough paper, capturing thoughts that would ignite the flames of intellectual revolution. So began the age denominated as the Enlightenment, a period marked not merely by the scaffold of reason, but by a seismic shift in the bedrock of literature and its criticism. This era, fueled by an unprecedented democratization of knowledge, bore witness to transformative discourses that forever altered the landscape of literary consumption and critique. At its core, the Enlightenment challenged established norms and, through a newly critical lens, brought to light the prodigious power of literature as a vehicle for societal edification and confrontation. The 18th century birthed an era where literacy ceased to be the sole province of the clergy and aristocracy. With the rise in literacy rates, particularly among the burgeoning middle class, there emerged a novel and voracious audience for literature. The Enlightenment's ethos of reason and empirical evidence progressively infiltrated these new readers, instigating a more discerning approach to reading and interpretation. Simultaneously, advancements in printing technology, such as the development of the movable type printing press, dramatically reduced the cost of book production. This not only made books more accessible, but also intensified the need for a larger variety of reading material. The surge in literary output enabled a consequential increase in the diversity of literary critiques and discussions, reflecting broader and more varied societal involvement. Books and pamphlets, once luxuries, became common goods. And as their numbers grew, so too did the venues for their sale and the scope for their critical discussion. Coffee houses and salons turned into hubs of literary debate, encouraging not simply the consumption of literature but its rigorous examination. This environment cultivated a new class of writers and critics who began to wield the pen as a scepter of influence, guiding public conversation and taste. As literature found its way into the hands of an ever-increasing audience of discerning readers, literary criticism evolved to address this new dynamic. The period observed a discernible maturation in the scope and methodology of criticism, transitioning from primarily didactic and religious analyses to more nuanced interpretations concerned with aesthetics, theme, and humanistic inquiry. Criticism during the Enlightenment, as illustrated by seminal works like Diderot's Encyclopédie and Johnson's The Rambler, was characterized by an emphasis on rationality and moral philosophy. These critical essays did not merely interpret, but questioned and defied, challenging authors and audiences alike to consider the broader implications of literary works. The public discourse around literature became tinged with a palpable sense of responsibility. Literature as a means to combat superstition and ignite the light of reason across societies. Moreover, the era witnessed the rise of the professional critic, a new role that acknowledged the need for scholarly and informed interpretations of literature. This period saw the establishment of the first literary magazines and review journals, such as The Spectator and The Critical Review, which provided platforms for extended public debate and discourse, further fueling the public's engagement with literature. The commercialization of literature, while it democratized access, also posed significant challenges. As literature became increasingly viewed as a commodity, there arose a tension between the Enlightenment's educational ideals and the market forces driving literature toward entertainment. This shift was not without its critics, who lamented the dilution of literary quality in the rush for profitable sensationalism. Yet this commercialization also spurred innovations in genres and narrative forms, leading to the birth of the novel and other forms of mass entertainment literature that shaped modern literary culture. The Enlightenment, indeed, did not uniformly fulfill its lofty goal of eradicating superstition and prejudice through literature. However, it fundamentally reconfigured the architecture of public discourse and set the groundwork for modern literary criticism. Its legacy is evident in the enduring pursuit of truth and critical thinking in the literary arenas. The transformation of literary criticism during this age was not merely an academic evolution, but a reflection of the profound societal shifts towards individualism, intellectualism, and inclusivity in cultural consumption. The discourse around literature in the Enlightenment era exemplifies the period's broader intellectual currents. It was an age that aspired to enlighten the world through reason and critical thought, and in many ways it succeeded, particularly in reshaping how society at large engaged with and interpreted literature. Thus, literary criticism not only mirrored the Enlightenment ideals, but actively propelled their realization into the social fabric, one reason critique at a time.